Namaste, everyone. My name is Thorsten from Beyond Sea, and my passion is bringing people beyond what they can see today. The podcast Enrich Your Life is for everyone who is carrying sometimes a quite heavy backpack through their life and cares primarily about others than about themselves. With this podcast, I want to ensure that you will put yourself first, that you love yourself, and that you will enrich your life. Hello, everyone. This is our podcast number 4 from our podcast series, Enrich Your Life. And I'm super delighted and thrilled to have another special guest today in our studio. And today, our guest comes from far, far away. As you all know, we have an amazing life-changing track, which is called Quest to Purpose, where we're going to travel to Nepal. And as I mentioned, I'm super delighted to introduce a wonderful friend I met some years ago who also changed my life. And that's the reason why we came up with this program, because we want to give that back and share this amazing experience Anya and myself had. So with that, let me please welcome Amrit, who is the founder or co-founder of Himalayan Quests in Nepal. Amrit, welcome to Enrich Your Life's podcast.
Namaste, Thorsten. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm very honored to be part of this podcast, and of course, very delighted and very honored to be part of this BNC program that you are going to lead, or you are going to bring people to Nepal. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. It's a huge pleasure. So Amrit, as I mentioned, I'm really inspired by Himalayan Quests, the tracks you offer, because they are always coming from heart. They are fully reliable, the quality, the passion you bring in together with your wonderful wife, Kate. And maybe you can tell me, or can tell our wonderful listeners a little bit, how did you came up to say Himalayan Quests? That's what we want to do.
So we run trips in the Himalayas that's to the places where not many people go. We take to the people to the places where it's unexplored and unspoiled, less traveled. We take through the villages and to the mountains that we can give the first-hand experience to the people who come to the Nepal. That's why it's very different than any other companies that who run trips in Nepal.
Beautiful. So it makes this, when I understand it correctly, this track is extraordinary and really unique because you bring the people off track from the tourists, right?
That is very correct.
Beautiful. And what I also know and what we also offer is that because you can book this trip everywhere, there are many companies, but that you bring the participants of this journey, you connect them with the community. So maybe you can explore a little bit, what does this mean? Connect with the community so that they leave an impact in Nepal.
The BNC program, Quest to Purpose, that we are working together with Himalayan Quest. This trip is very unique than any other trips because we take our participants to the monasteries. So we stay in the monasteries. Monastery, if you guys don't know what monastery is, it's the school for monks and lamas. That's where they live and they study the Buddhist religion. So we're taking our participants to these monasteries to live, to stay for a couple of nights, and we're doing yoga and we're learning from the monk. So we're gonna participate at their ritual, puja ceremonies, like morning and evening, and we're gonna learn about Tibetan Buddhism that not many other trekkers get an opportunity to do this. So this is one component of the program. Another component of the program in this Quest to Purpose is we take our participants to the village. So we're going to stay with the family in the village so that our participants get to understand how Nepali people live, and basically they will understand the general life of the local Nepali people.
Mm.
This is another component of our program.
Beautiful. So this
And
is
then
connection, yeah.
the another component of this Quest to Proverbs, we're going to trek through the Halambu circuit, which is directly north of Kathmandu. We are going to walk through this beautiful rhododendron forest. Basically, we're going to hike from 1,600 meters and we go up to 4,500 as high. So while you're walking through this trek, we're going to walk through the villages and we're going to go above the tree line where the views of the high Himalaya is magnificent and beautiful. And then we're going to make this trek as a loop that we're going to walk through the Sherpa villages, Tamang villages, and experience the culture and the people who live up there.
Wow, beautiful. And for all the listeners, if you only listen to the podcast, what you cannot see, when Amrit mentioned this beautiful rhododendron, he is sitting fully relaxed with a cup of tea in front of a huge pig at the wall with a nice rhododendron.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Amrit, for sharing that. And you just described a little bit what you do and you described the elevation. So can you describe a little bit the hiking conditions for this trip? So how much experience does someone need, or how should the fitness level be, what you recommend or even expect from participants?
So basically, in terms of altitude, we start from about 1,600 meters from the sea level. And then the highest point we will go, it's about 4,500 meters. But we won't sleep that high, but the highest point we will be sleeping is at 3,600 meters. So of course, the itinerary we have designed on this program, it's slow and steady to avoid the altitude illness. So if you worry about the altitude, you shouldn't worry too much because the way itinerary we have designed is to avoid the altitudes, we walk slow. So basically, to avoid the altitude, it's go slow to go fast.
Oh, beautiful.
That's our mantra.
Yeah. Okay, excellent.
So in terms of physical fitness, you need some degree of fitness. If you say if you do 4 or 5 hours, 6 hours hiking a day, and if you do exercise every morning, I don't know, you will be fine. But yes, of course, you need some degree of altitude, some degree of physical fitness, and we'll cover 8 to 15 kilometers a day, depends what of the trek are. But it's, and we have done this for many times with lots of our trekkers. It's not a problem.
Yes, and you mentioned
but you need some degree of physical fitness. If you are hikers, like if you do some running or walking, if you doing day hikes here back home, you'll be fine.
Okay.
One thing you need to come on this trip is open mind, open heart, and open hand. But you can do it.
Beautiful. I like it. And you mentioned it's tailored. This program has been tailored. So together, Himalayan Quests and Beyond Sea tailored a specific, unique program. So of course it's hiking, but it's also about, you just mentioned it so nicely, about the mindset, about mindfulness, to really, it's not only about elevation, it's also to connect with your true self and to pace down in this crazy fast-paced world and to really connect with yourself.
That is true, yeah. So on this trip, we are going to start this trip together and we'll finish it together. So on this trip, it's not about the race. It's about working together, helping each other, and getting there and get most out of from this trip.
And I have seen in the itinerary that there is also something, you mentioned the connection or the community. So can you maybe further explore a little bit about this? On one hand, you said connect them with a family and they're going to stay in a monastery. But also is there something where they do voluntary work for a school or for kindergarten where they can support and connect with the community as well?
Yeah. So on this trip, so in the village, we have 2 nights. We have in the village 2 nights. So basically in 3 days, we don't have a lot of time, but this is kind of a very easy way to see how the village lives look like in Nepal. Depends on year of the time and when you come in and what's available in the village and what they need. We may be able to work in the farm or maybe able to go and help in the schools painting with the kids.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it depends totally on what time you're coming. Again, we will be spending time with the families and eating what they eat and do what they do.
Beautiful.
For a couple of days.
That shows again the uniqueness of this track. So on one hand, the participants, they will have an impact on themselves, on their own life, because we also mentioned, or we very often mention, this heavy backpack. They all carry issues, problems, stress through their life. And doing that track, they really want to look into their backpack, what they want to leave there, and that they travel light afterwards. And also what you nicely mentioned, they have an impact on their own life, but also they leave the impact in Nepal on a community and things like that. So you mentioned that you have done many treks and your company has so much experience. So, and I see already the experience and your passion. And so can you maybe share a highlight or something when you say, because people, when they hear Everest, they think, oh, up to the Everest, or what does it mean? So how is that?
So basically, Himalayan Quest has been running since 2009. But myself, I've been working up in the mountains since early 2000s, so it's almost 2 decades, if not a little bit more. And this is what I've done home in life. And I've trekked across Nepal and other parts of the world as well. And I've been to Everest region multiple times. Almost I go every year for the last 15, 16 years. And also I've done the Everest expeditions, been to the top. In compare those mountains and other parts of the world where I've done trekking and climbing, this particular Helambu circuit where we're going trekking, it's much more calmer, less people, less commercial, and it's beautiful.
Wow. I'm having goosebumps already when I'm imagining. So while I'm listening, I can see myself and our wonderful attendees of this trek walking together with you through the Himalayan mountains. So maybe one of my last questions for you is, you mentioned that you have a lot of experience and there are many treks, and not only Himalayan Quests, also other tour companies are there. So what drives your passion personally for this particular trek, Quest to Purpose? What makes it so different, and also for you?
So this one is particular for me, for this trip, Quest to Purpose. We're not trekking just for the sake of trekking. This is very meaningful trip that maybe help change your life. That's why this is unique, and I'm more drawn to this trip than regular other trips.
Beautiful. So what is the last thing you want to share with our listeners? What is your call to action for them?
I would say, don't think too much, just do it. We will see you up in the trail.
Beautiful.
Come with us.
Beautiful. Thank you very much for your time, for sharing your passion, your experience with us. And thank you to also listening to this wonderful person and to Himalayan Quests. And you heard him saying, don't wait too long, just do it and change your life and travel light. And with that, we are closing today's podcast, Enrich Your Life. I invite you to switch from one day to day one. And I would be delighted when you leave a kind review, and would be even thrilled if you would like to connect via LinkedIn, Instagram, or the website, or YouTube, and find out how you will enrich your life from now on. Thank you very much for listening. Namaste.